Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast, coming to you live from different spots around the United States. Chris and I are here in California, San Diego specifically. We are joined by our co-hosts in Texas and New York, respectively, Jim and Jason. What's up, guys? How are you doing today?
Doing all right, thanks, considering a mixed game this morning.
Yeah, absolutely mixed, right, Jason? What the freak, man?
Taking a point and well, not moving on just yet, but I will move on after we all digest
Yeah,
and talk about
this will
it.
be a nice little group therapy session for us all here to bust down what we all witnessed. Chris, doing okay up there in Del Mar, my man?
Yeah, I mean, we saw each other this morning, Matt. It was great to see you again, watch the game together. But yeah, I wish it could have been a better result than what it was. I mean, I think the old cliche, a tale of two halves, is more than a great kind of description of what that was today.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we wrestled with harder than Brentford today were the collars around our players' necks. It seemed to be strangulations all over the field. I saw one time Yuri was almost passed out. Matters almost got choked out by his. So these collars are going to be an interesting thing in themselves this year for certain. But let's dive right into it, guys. We had Brentford the Foxes, the first match of the year at the KP. It was beautiful. It looked beautiful. It sounded good. We had everything from Kasabian returning in the beginning to Jersey Bud and the whole world smiles with you at kickoff. That was a nice little touch. Unfortunately, after the first half, though, it wasn't so great. But starting off the match, guys, Jason, when you see a lineup that includes Dan and Marty, and you see we're going five at the back, I know you had talked previously and you were a little worried about that stance. What were your thoughts going in, dude?
Yeah, actually, I liked the lineup, like from what I saw. I thought that was pretty much like one of the better lineups that we could put out there without Barnes or without being able to play with wingers. I was just a little confused once the game actually started about why Amari was playing on the left side of the back three instead of the right side. So, but other than that, like looking at the 11 that were starting the game, yeah, sure it was a little defensive, but I thought that there was enough quality out there that we should, control the game and gotten a result, and they were for a good portion of it.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, guys, a very long time. We have somebody else wearing the number 1. So, yeah, Danny Ward's name jumps right off the top. We haven't even seen him in preseason yet, Jim. What were your thoughts when you saw that? Because, I mean, honestly, nobody knew. He's been a better kept secret than our away kit as far as his leg status or knee status, whatever happened during that international match. What were your thoughts on Danny today?
I thought he did well, actually. He came out and commanded his area when he needed to. I don't think he was at fault for any of the goals. Seemed to organize the defense, apart from maybe Dan Amati for the first one, but we won't talk about that quite yet. Distribution was probably on par with Casper from his feet. It was nice to see him start throwing it and rolling it out a bit more and getting a bit quicker with it in the second half, actually. He was quite slow and sort of, I'd say, ponderous to start with, but he got a palm stinger pretty early and held it, which was nice to see, and I felt really comfortable with him.
Yeah, he definitely. I had no qualms about Danny today. He was absolutely fine. We hung him out to dry on both goals, and those would have happened to any keeper, really in the world. Another name jumps right off is Wesley Fofana is on the sheet. Jason, what a better way to shut people the hell up about any speculation with Little Wes, right?
Well, I think it's showing that we're nowhere near any sort of agreement, right? To usually, if a player is if the sale is imminent, then a player sits. That didn't happen today, so hopefully it's a good sign that he'll be around for a little while longer, at least until the end of the window. But hopefully he'll be here a little longer than that. But yeah, that was nice to see, and I think we were all wondering if Yuri was going to be in the lineup because he was put on the second squad. Not sure if if there's any progress there with any of the potential suitors out there, but Yuri was out there and he had a fine first half as well too. So it was nice. I think looking at the team sheet, I was encouraged. I thought this was the formation is a bit defensive, but I thought the lineup and the personnel were good and about the best we could start with.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, your thoughts on Wes, Fofana, and the rest of the boys that got their start today?
Yeah, I think to Jason and Jim's points, echo them. It was solid. You saw the lineup and you thought it was probably the best 11 he could put out, given the situation that we had with Ricardo's injury, with Bonds going down early this week for a few weeks. So, I mean, we're seeing the team sheet. You expected a win, if I'm being totally honest. We can get into more detail as it goes on, but I thought Fofana played pretty well. He didn't light it up like he normally does, but he was solid. And to you guys' point about Danny Ward, it was weird at the beginning not seeing Casper in goal, but to echo Jim's point, he had a very solid performance. I think that moment in the first half where he came out and smothered the opportunity was really big. I think it gave us a lot of we all had a collective breath moment, and I think he came through that, and I'm excited to see where he goes for the rest of the season.
Definitely inspiring. I mean, the guy commands the box, and he just, that's something like I think we're going to be very happy with this year in comparison to what we've seen. He just seems to control, especially on corners and stuff. It just seems like he's in and on the ball much more reliably. His distribution was great today too. He had a couple nice throws, a couple nice kicks. So goalkeeping hopefully will not be the detriment that we're dealing with the most. Couple guys missing from the squad. Yannick Vestergaard, who's been rumored sold to Fulham. Jason, we know anything more about that?
Oh, I do not actually have any updates there. I don't know. I haven't. I've been trying to see if there's anything, or trying to read up on what's happening there with. But it did sound like there was progress happening. I think we all thought that maybe a sale is going to happen soon. So, yeah. I think we're all just kind of in the same situation here when it comes to Fofana, Tielemans, Vestergaard, Soyuncu. I think the one thing that we can all pretty confidently say is that it does look like Madison is here to stay, and Newcastle put their little bid in, tried to spin play lotto or whatever to try to win the matters on the cheap, and didn't work. They went back home, with the tails between their legs about that one, and Matters was there and ready to play. And I think we'll see a lot. We'll see, hopefully him for a few more years. But that's about it. I don't really know. I think we're all in the dark here.
Yeah. Beyond that, it's all just a guessing game. Let's talk a little bit about the midfield and Matters. KDH, Yuri, and Matters. The three of those today, man, what an anchor that ran that midfield. The first half, when those three were kicking, we had distribution, we had great runs over the top balls. Yuri, he's taking these long shots, they're getting on target, he hits the post a few times. I mean, is that the best midfield that we have right now as an option, Chris, in your opinion, like with those three? Because they looked strong.
Yeah, I thought those three in particular had a pretty strong game. I was disappointed in what was behind them and what was in front of them in terms of how they Vardy and Ndidi I thought weren't great today. But in terms of those three, yeah, I thought they all had solid games. I mean, you know what you're going to get from KDH now? It's almost become a foundation of the Leicester side, is that when he's on, we're on. And I thought in particular, his busyness is one of the things that I love the most about him. He's always around the pitch. He's always willing to get his foot in. He looks calm and composed when he's on the ball. And I think we can talk about it later, but his goal was stunning. Again, it's that composure. It's that confidence to beautiful layoff on Vardy, but it's that confidence and composure 25 yards out to have that shot is fantastic. I mean, Tielemans is always going to be Tielemans. He is almost kind of, sometimes it looks like he is maybe in the shadows, but consistently when he was on the board, he was looking to play forward. I thought he had a strong game. And yeah, I think those three, Matt, are definitely the linchpin and the center of if we're going to be successful this year, those three need to be on it every single game.
Jim, your thoughts on those three? What was it in your mind that was making it click so well today?
I think there was some nice interplay. They were kind of moving around within each other. Actually, kind of an interesting formation. I think it was like a 3-1-4-1-1 or something, with actually a sort of diamond in the middle with Ndidi sitting in front of the back three, and then you had sort of Yuri and KDH sort of left and right of the point of the diamond, and then Madders playing just tucked underneath Vardy, and then you kind of had sort of the wing back sort of pushing up and down as well. So maybe it was a 5, maybe it was a 3, depending on your outlook on the day. But I thought it was pretty nice. I think, as Chris said, I think Yuri had a decent game. I think 6.5 out of 10 for him for a Yuri performance, not maybe a standard midfielder. I think again we got KDH giving a really good performance, and I think there was probably some puzzlement of why he went off. I don't think he looked overly tired. He scored a screamer. It was a absolute banger that. And he wouldn't have been the player I would have subbed out at the time for a tactical. But I think like having Madders kind of coming in and dropping into that little pocket, KDH running beyond him, Yuri kind of getting up there, and then I think as Chris said, I don't think Wilf had a good game. I don't think he's match fit, and he's certainly not match sharp. He was quite ponderous on the ball. He gave it away pretty cheaply a couple of times, and I think he just tried to do a little bit too much, which led actually to more, actually a few more mistakes than maybe we see. And I didn't think he was quite as physical and aggressive as he normally is. So hopefully he'll get back up to speed pretty soon. But first half, I think we dominated the midfield, and up until about 50th minute or so, a couple of little minor scares, Chris said, but and then things changed.
Yeah, before we get right to there, let's talk about the first goal. Timmy Castagne when you need him.
Corner.
On a damn corner from a ball whipped in by Matters. Just a beautiful ball. If Timmy wouldn't have gotten it, Lil West was just sitting right there, and he would have been on top of it. So, man, we look dangerous. And that was a beautiful goal. Timmy really kind of putting to bed maybe some worries people had about losing Ricardo. Jason, what are your thoughts on Timmy today? What a match.
Yeah, I think Castagne's got great opportunity in front of him right now to really assert himself in the lineup and to play regularly, which he's going to get that chance, which is great for him before World Cup. So I think he's really going to take it. Is one thing that we do is we score bangers, we score great goals against Brentford, even if the result doesn't go our way. It's kind of happened the last few, so he's in the goals again. But I did see. I think one of the positives I take from today is that we were much more aggressive on set pieces on both sides of the pitch. And I think it made a difference. I think you can see there was a concerted effort not to let that happen again, not to to waste those opportunities off corners, and not to give up goals. So we were equally as aggressive on the defensive side too. But it's great to see. If you're going to play 5 at the back, you're going to have all these defenders in. You're going to have these bigger guys in there. Then get them all up into the box and really go after those offensive corners and set pieces. And we did a pretty decent job of that.
Yeah,
it was like. Sorry, Matt. I was going to say it was like deja vu, because the goal was was literally how we conceded the majority of our corner goals last season. Yeah. It was static defending from Brentford, playing zone. We were aggressive. Timmy invaded the area, took up the space, and it was a great header. It was part and parcel everything that we were bemoaning last year, that we happened to actually, hey, oh God, we can actually do that up our end of the pitch and score. That was great.
Especially when you beat the first man, which
exactly,
which we did. That just shows when you put the ball in that danger zone, you can get goals. So clearly some practice being going on from Madders. He did revert to type a bit later, but I'm not gonna belittle him for that. We got the goal.
We got the goal, and we have all those defenders. Get it in the mixer, man, and see what happens.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I don't know if like a salmon.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was quite as nice of a corner routine as the Forest boys had that they were running.
I think you mean Saturday. The Mighty Ducks with the flying V.
Yes, flying Forest.
Are they still running for the next game? Just running down from Newcastle to the City ground, ready for the next corner?
Oh man, yeah, guys, to see some success, because there were plenty of opportunities. I mean, they had corners that I know I was just biting my tongue, just waiting for it to happen. And Danny and the boys, they controlled it and made it work. So, Very stoked on that part of it. Moving right down the line, we get into the second half there. And yeah, like we said, KDH starts it off with a bang. He hits that. That was a left foot too. That was, I think, one of the neatest things about that. It was just a left foot screamer, comes in, hits the post, and what a way to start the second half. And unfortunately, that just seems to be where Brendan just decided to start messing with the batter. What any inkling, Chris, in your mind, like what would have caused him to start messing with things that were going so well?
So after the match, he mentioned that the 2 substitutions from Brentford changed the way that they were playing in the middle of the park. And he said that to try and compensate that, he brought on Docker, obviously. When I see that, I remember we were talking about this when we were watching the game together. Our first thought was he was going to bring on Dennis Pratt. We thought it was just basically going to be almost like a like for like. Okay, KDH has hit his red line for the game or whatever it would be. We're going to bring on another midfielder, try and get fresh legs in there and build. And when Docker came on, it was interesting. But looking back now, that seemed to me that Brendan at that point was almost going to say, okay, we're just going to absorb their pressure and then try and hit them on the break a little bit more with maybe 2 up top now and more pace. And if there's one thing that's Leicester side isn't under Brendan Rodgers at times, it's the team that can absorb all of that pressure and hit him on the counter. This isn't the 2015 Leicester. So it was a really confusing substitution. And I mean, we often say that the games are lost on those little changes, but this one, it was obvious. The substitution had such an impact on the game, and it feels like we completely shot ourselves in the foot.
Tony scores on a goal that's just weird, right? Like the ball is like bouncing around, and it's just one of those things where everyone looked lost. Nothing Danny could have done about it, but just like everything just seemed to just get effed up right away. The lines that were there, the lanes that were passing lanes that were there, all sort of disappeared. Everything started getting mucked up, and fatigue literally starts setting in. Which I guess my next question goes to you, Jim. Like, how do you see? And then after the match claim, that fatigue is what caused our breakdown, but you use 1 of 5 subs when compared to the manager next to you has used all 5 subs. Like, help me make this make sense, dude.
I can't. I can't. Look, you got 5 subs. We've got a packed schedule until the World Cup, playing more games than we normally would before the break. We know that, like, we've got, the player who's got the third lung and has got the most stamina and is going up and down that pitch and didn't look tired is the one that he took off. To not even kind of talk about, why he was doing it tactically, what was he trying to do? Was he trying to split their defense? I get he was trying to maybe hit them on the counter attack or something as they pushed up, or and stretch the play, but we just lost a huge piece of our midfield, and all of a sudden we just went from sort of bossing it and playing some nice intricate football to, they could just run through us, and it was kind of actually a pretty lightweight midfield all of a sudden. And to not make any more changes, to not react to the fact that the first goal, Keystone Cop defending, it was, from our own throw in. And then sort of losing it and then letting them get through and then not make any further changes from then is that to me is mind blowing.
It was just like so weird because obviously you see KDH start coming off. And so I turned to Chris and I was like, Pratt. I think I said Pratt. I'm like who's coming on here? And then we see Daka, and I mean, he looks great. Like the man looks good. I'm so stoked for what he's gonna do this year. But man, that was a weird substitution, Jason. Any thoughts, dude?
I think I have too many thoughts about this. We were controlling the midfield and then kind of tried to soak in the pressure, but with one less man back there to do that. And you could see it really opened up gaps in the middle of the park that Brentford were able to exploit. And we were just had everyone across the 18 for good chunks of that game without, anyone stepping up and taking the initiative or engaging with the ball carrier, like we saw in the second goal, where I think everyone knew that he was going to take it in on his left foot and curl it outside. And that's exactly what he did because he had the time because everybody was kind of pinned back. I can see how getting another forward out there, especially someone with, Daka's pace, could help us kind of press out wide so that the midfielders don't have to kind of run as much. But the midfielders now have to cover a lot more ground because there's one fewer. And, these goals and these kind of mistakes and miscues, I think it's a combination of things. One's tiredness. I mean, Rodgers even said that the players were fatigued. I think we could see that the Brentford subs were fresher. It was a hot day. I think we were the only side in the country that probably, that only made one sub. I'm pretty sure every other team made at least two. So you have a tired team, and now you have you're playing this kind of new weird formation too that haven't really played before, and then you're kind of changing the formation again. And it's difficult to do when you're already tired. You want to kind of go back to your bread and butter, and you want your players to have this muscle memory, right? So everyone knows their job and can do it, in their sleep or, when they're, have nothing left in the tank. But now these players are kind of having to overthink their positions. They're not sure where to be. They don't know what to do with the ball, at least indecisiveness. And tired minds and tired legs are a bad combination. And I think that's what we saw in the second half. And it just, I kind of felt like it was given away. And, Rodgers himself said that he saw that the players were tired. And I'm not saying I know more than the manager. I'm not trying to, but I think from all of us watching this, we could see that it wasn't working, that the sub wasn't working. I don't think Daka touched the ball for the first 10 minutes he was on. So something needed to change, but nothing changed. And you just saw the confusion, just all up and down the pitch, along with tired legs and wide open space for Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford's a team too, man. When they smelled blood, they turned it on, and I think they knew that we were tired. I think that they used the fact that we weren't bringing on fresh legs, and I think they literally just pinned their ears back and went at us. Chris, go ahead, Jason. Sorry,
I was going to say, and they also noticed something else, something that I mentioned earlier, which I gotta love Big Dan. I think he's a great soldier for the club. I just seems like a really good guy too, but I thought it was odd also that he was playing on the left side of the back three with a left back who's a naturally right-footed player. So you have two right-footed players there, where Fofana is the younger, more athletic player who's a lot more comfortable on the ball. So you would think that maybe he would be on the left side there, because we were in situations, especially Brentford noticed this and just kept pressing, especially on our back left side there, and kept forcing Amarty and Justin to kind of take the ball into cul-de-sacs throughout the second half, and we just had so much trouble there. And that to me, just I just didn't understand why Amarty would have been on the left side instead of the right side of that back three, where he's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, and to your point, Jason, the second goal in particular, again, is a combination of that. It could, I think, Amarty playing on that left-hand side, he's naturally showing in the right winger into the center into the 18-yard box. And by doing that, obviously you've got a right-sided player who's predominantly left-footed. It's naturally opening it up for him to stick it in the corner like he did for that second goal, because Amarty wants to show him inside because he wants to get his dominant foot in there to make the tackle. And maybe that is a tired mind thing, like you guys have talked about. It's just like at those situations, you just revert back to kind of your natural instinct in those situations. But I think for that second goal in particular, we could have done a better job showing the guy to the outside and stopping him cutting inside like that, because the finish was great. Don't get me, the finish was fantastic. But I think up to that point, there were times when we could have done something different that would have stopped that goal from going in.
Yeah, it's fucking frustrating because it's a De Silva guy, right? Like, who are, and we gave him 7 miles to work with. That's what's like, anybody could have done. You give him that much space and that much time, any Premier League footballer is going to be able to make that. That's what's so frustrating to me. A little bit more pressure, but at that point, everybody's legs were dead. So it just issues compounding on issues, and Brentford's a team last year gave us hell twice, and this fair play to them. They took advantage of some stupid decisions, in my opinion, by our manager and went for it. Jim, anything else that jumped out to you right off the top about the guys there towards the second half?
I think just to echo thoughts, and it was hard as the Tacoma Fox has said in the chat, and as Jason said, they did look tired, and you could just see them dropping deeper and deeper. And I think after the first goal went in, it kind of felt like there might be a second, because we were just sort of on the edge of our 18-yard box. We were just sort of backing away for the second goal, for De Silva's goal. We just, as you said, Matt, backed up, didn't really go to pressure him and let him have the shot. And, Danny Ward was unsighted, and he had no chance with that.
No chance.
You kind of work, and it was a bit reminiscent of last season, with just trying to get. There was that point where we couldn't get the ball away, and we just kind of let's just get rid of it, and we don't care if it just goes 30 yards away. And then we just thought, okay, let's reset again, and we never really, I don't think, looked that convincing after but it was, I think that's what being a Leicester fan is, right? But we saw what happened. And I was thinking to myself, why don't we play teams in preseason that press? Why aren't we picking, we knew we were playing Brentford for how long? I don't know how long in advance, the preseason matches are there, but Brentford, that's how they get you. They're organized, they work hard, they press. And he just basically ran his player to the ground and then swapped them all out and said, run at them again. And we couldn't cope, and we were knackered. And I think that's it's a point, 39 points to go to the target, right? And we move on. Hopefully we have a typical Leicester game or season where we should have won against Brentford and we didn't, and we go against Arsenal, and who looked pretty good on Friday. And it's a tough start, and you've got to get out of the first 4 games. You'd really hope we get 6 points out of that from the games that we have, but we'll probably get them against Arsenal and Chelsea rather than Southampton and Brentford at this point.
That's how we do it.
I would take that trade.
Oh yeah.
all day. Yeah, I think you make a great point there, dude. Tacoma Fox in our comment section, he also points out the adrenaline from first match excitement will drain the players quicker. So yeah, definitely probably some of that going in there. I think though, if we can loop back around here to look at a few positives, obviously we're disappointed, but it is a point, better than a loss. Just ask Villa where they're sitting right now, ask Forest where they're sitting. So we'll take that point and move on. I do think that we did hit the post twice, and their keeper was forced into some really good saves. So outside of a couple inches, we're looking at a four goal game for us, and we're all just top of the world right now. I know that's glass.
I love it, Matt. No, I completely agree. Considering where we were, if you were just to read the media going into this season and every pundit talking about this game, it would have Brentford were a shoo-in to win this 4-0. And so I think it's done I think it's, like you said, I think it's one of those results we'll look back on this year. Disappointing, but at the same time, like you pointed out, we had plenty of opportunities to win that game. And so I'm not overly concerned. I just think chalk it down to, as you guys have pointed out, one of those Leicester performances that we do. And we got a point, and we'll just move on to Arsenal.
And I think, a lot of credit to Brentford. They didn't give up when they were 2-0 down. And they showed so much fight. They showed so much organization, and they worked themselves back into that game. And they had that goal chalked off. It was, it was offside, but for a millisecond, I was like, oh, here we go. But I want to be positive. We've tried to be positive preseason, so I'm going to try and stay in that vein. I can't break that trend in game 1. So yes, we should have won. We made some chances, and we moved the ball quicker than last season. We had some, we had some weird subs or no subs, and move on. And I think Danny Ward looks good. Little Wes is still with us. Johnny Evans didn't get injured, and he played pretty well. Madders looked good. Tielemans looked like he was interested. Timmy C was good. I think James Justin's a way better left back than he is wing back. And then we had a good go at it. So I'm going to try and be positive.
Yeah, I mean, we were it was pretty clear, like that. We were the better side for most of that game, right? So there are a lot of positives there. It just could have been managed a bit better and handled a bit better. And I think it is, again, it's the first game of the new season. I think the reason why maybe the reactions are a little more extreme so early, it's because it's largely the same team, and we had such a short preseason that it kind of feels like last season just never ended. And it's really just like a continuation of last season. We saw some of the same things that we saw last year. But Jim, the positives that you pointed out, I think are very positive. And I'll add onto that list the way we handled set pieces. So hopefully we build on that a little bit more, keep fresher legs on the pitch, especially early in the season when it's hot and players aren't used to playing 90 minutes week in and week out. That the results will start to come our way, and we'll close out the games that we couldn't close out last year.
Yeah, definitely. And this was, if we're being quite honest, guys, first game of the year, drawing Brentford, that's not great. And then you throw in the media being in everybody's head and who's in, who's out. No one knows who the hell's going to be on the team. And then you top that off with it was 100+ degrees. I don't know how hot it was out there, but it was damn hot. So this very easily could have been a very shitty, sad pod. So I guess the fact that we're running on neutral right now and we pull a point out, we can be happy about that. Let me ask you guys this. Obviously, none of us were there, but your thoughts on the atmosphere. There were a few changes. There was the singing section that was kind of controversially put in there that raised some uproar depending on which side of it that you fell on. So your guys' thoughts on the overall atmosphere at the KP. We'll start with you, Chris.
Well, we could hear them on the TV, which was positive. And I don't know whether that's because NBC have figured out how to mix the sound with the game this year, which was quite nice. Normally, some of these games that we watch over here, the commentary and the TV can be off at sometimes. But I think it's a good idea. I think anything we can do to get that atmosphere back to where it was, because it's obvious that our players thrive when the fans are behind them, when there's noise at the KP. So all in all, it's going to just be like the team. It's going to be something that is going to be slow burning at the beginning, but hopefully come Christmas next year, we'll be well into the kind of full throttle, should we say, in terms of the singing.
Well, you mentioned NBC, and I don't know if you know this, but as NBC has told us, there's only one team in the world that sing, and that's Liverpool. And they are the only supporters that sing, and they are the most impressive supporters in the world. So they put 59 mics right at the cop end so that we can all hear their stupid song. But yeah, I think that could be, you could be onto something there. We also, the clappers are gone now. Jason, I don't know. The clappers were what they were. You either loved them or you hated them. Did you miss them? Did you miss them on the broadcast?
I didn't miss them, but I did read some, kind of funny stories that some folks had posted after the game, just seeing some fans out there who were like instinctively trying to clap with the flags.
With the flag.
It's become, kind of muscle memory or just an instinct at this point. They did look pretty cool. So that was nice to see, along with the free beers for everyone. So I think the free beer, just that extra little shot of that helps the atmosphere a little bit too. It did sound livelier. Folks that I spoke to were at the game also echoed that and said that it did sound a little bit better. Now, I think the whole stadium should be a singing section, but that's maybe another conversation. But it was good. Feedback that I'm getting from some folks there was, the Brentford end was pretty quiet, and really you could hear just folks usually on one end of the ground, or if you're at L1, you may not be able to hear the SK sections, but everyone seemed to be able to hear each other, and it did come across a bit more on the television broadcast, which is nice. It kind of felt like a regular Saturday 3 p.m. UK, 10 a.m. New York time, just like a regular. It didn't feel like a Sunday early kickoff. It felt like a normal time and a good atmosphere.
Yeah, good day in the East Midlands overall. Would have liked the points, but onward we will move, gentlemen. Any last points before we look ahead to next week's epic Saturday matchup?
I thought the singing section was good. I could hear it really well, as the guy said.
Yeah.
To the point, people listening in the UK maybe who were singing, they had to turn you down a couple of times or mute it with some adult language that's maybe not suitable at 10 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. depending on where you are. But so well done, everybody. Obviously the Brentford fans made some noise, at a certain point, and they sang a song that I'm not going to repeat. So, but yeah, it was I think overall, if we'd have come back from 2-0 down and got the point opening day with all the things that could have happened with some upsets, we saw Man United lose today. We saw Liverpool draw yesterday. So look, we got through it. Brentford are no mugs. They had a really strong finish to last season. They did their money ball to buy some new players to slot in, and let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. All right, next week, guys, Saturday, we've got Arsenal. It's right off the bat going to be one that's a big match for us straight off and a good test. Look at that professional transition at the bottom of the screen, Chris. Wow, next level. Arsenal play Palace on Friday, and depending on, I only saw bits and pieces of the match. I was at work, so I had to jump around, but at times they look good, at times they look bad, but they did get 2-0 win versus Palace. Did anybody get to watch that?
Yeah,
I watched it.
I watched the game. Yeah. Do you want to go ahead, Jason? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Arsenal were the better team and kind of in control of that game, but and started the game was this started off at a really good pace, but I mean Palace had some chances, man, that they really should have put away, and so I wouldn't get too high on Arsenal just yet, but they do have a pretty impressive squad, and once they start to gel a little bit, they're only going to get better. It's going to be a tough one, but Palace had the chances, so if we could get some of those types of looks at the goal, hopefully with Vardy, possibly Daka or Madison, up front, that some of ours will actually go in the net.
Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, to 100% agree. I thought that Arsenal, it was kind of a tale of two halves on the back line. I thought down the right-hand side, they struggled. I think Ben White, he wasn't great. And I thought Zaha, if he'd played a little bit better, could have had more in that area. Yeah. But Arsenal are going to be one of those sides. I think they've cemented themselves as a top 6 side this year, simply just because of the money they've spent. And I don't think they've necessarily got better. But to echo what Jason says, I think their squad has got better. So they're able to rotate more and probably make those 5 subs and have a game changer come on. So it is going to be tough, but I definitely think we'll get chances. And it's up to us if we get those chances to finish. And I definitely see a score in there. It's just whether or not we will be able to kind of keep it tight at the back.
I'm hoping also in the kind of the week to build up, to that game, that some kind of viral moment comes out of their Arsenal's All or Nothing series that just came out. That kind of can be a distraction for them. Maybe I did watch the first episode. It was all right. I have been having trouble sleeping at night though since. I'm just trying to figure out why Aaron Ramsdale's dad was dressed like a member of Public Enemy. I just could not understand that whole look, and it's really, I don't know, it's really sticking in my head. So hopefully there are some moments that come out of that, or maybe some of the listeners can kind of explain what that whole look was. But there's always going to be some sort of distraction around Arsenal, right? There's always something happens. So this could be the week.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like this is a team that we have some of the most unique history with, whether it's them celebrating, the year that we won the league after they beat us on that Welbeck free kick. Like, it's just, you go down the line, and the amount of shit that we've had to deal with this squad always makes this one a little bit more entertaining. And then, yeah, what's that, Jason?
Yeah, it's always singing the Vardy song too is extra special against Arsenal.
Definitely. We share a bar with the Arsenal supporter group, so in San Diego at least it will be to say the least an interesting one. We had about eight eight of us there today, and we were missing some of our regulars, so our numbers are slowly growing in San Diego. What kind of turnout did you guys have in New York today?
I think we had about a dozen together, so it's tough, early in the season, especially earlier on a Sunday. Subways can be a little messed up now post COVID, but it was a good turnout. We had a pretty good crew. We had some of the locals, some New Yorkers that hadn't been out yet to meet up with us, made their debuts, and
Awesome.
we had Alistair in from the UK too. He was a great guy. It was cool to watch the game with. And yeah, it was a good time out in New York, and hopefully we'll just keep building on that, get more people each week, and we usually do.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I know. Looking ahead, it's an hour earlier, so it's 7:00. That's 6 a.m. Or this was a start. I had to start the day with some Baileys. I think I'll do the same next week. But I think if we can bury some of these chances, I mean, like I think we can be competitive with Arsenal. Chris, like it's early in this season, and Brennan's going to have to watch some film this week and realize he's going to get raked over the coals all week about his substitutions. So let's see what happens, Chris.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Arsenal's first home game. So as such, there's going to be a lot of pressure from their fan base for them. There's almost an expectation amongst Arsenal fans this year that like it seems like it's top three competing for the top two. So hopefully we can take advantage of that as well. And to echo your point, Jason, we're starting to get to that time of year where the people of Leicester are planning their fall and winter shopping trips to New York to get all those Christmas presents. So I'm hoping that you'll get a lot more folks from Leicester coming over the next few months to enjoy the games with you guys on the East Coast.
I think we will. My office is near Times Square, and I can tell you Times Square is filling up. It is back to its tourist filled, but also slightly seedy kind of, just I don't know, glory. And so as Times Square fills up, we know that more and more folks are coming in from all over the world. So hopefully folks are going to make their way down to the Empire State Building to watch with us.
Yeah, we're dealing with the same influx right now but whereas you're dealing with people from all over the world, in San Diego, it's purely people from Arizona. Every parking spot is an Arizona license plate, and they'll be here till Labor Day. So we're waiting for them to go as well. Jimmy, any last thoughts on Arsenal before we call this one this week?
Always a tough team to play. Playing against Gabriel Jesus, who seems to like a goal against us as well. So hoping that stops with his new club. And as I said earlier, I think, going to be optimistic, and we're going to go down there and get 3 points and ruin NBC's coverage, and they'll have to talk about us.
Oh my God, the worst thing.
Love you really, Robbie Mustoe and Tim Howard. And of course, Rebecca.
Yeah, we can see the framed picture of you and her behind you there. We all know about your Rebecca love. Yeah, guys, I'm excited
our
for
friend
it.
Lawrence's though.
No, not quite. I'm excited for it. I think we can get something done. I think Arteta's going to be under so much pressure. He doesn't help himself with those damn, black turtlenecks that he puts on as far as like clenching himself up more. So we'll see. I'm sure he'll feature one of those next week. And who knows? I mean, we're in that time of year where it's pointless trying to predict anything, but it'd be sure nice to go and upset their first home match of the year and just send Arsenal fan TV into meltdown on weeks 2. Any final thoughts, Chris?
Can't wait. No, just bring it on. Looking forward to next Saturday. It's great to get that buzz back. I remember we were watching a game and I was just that nervous twitch where my feet just can't stop moving comes back, and I didn't even think about it, but it's just once you've got it, it's just great to have it back. So I'm so excited for the Premier League to return. I'm going to watch every game for the next 9 months with the World Cup as well. It's going to, like you said, it's going to be impossible to predict what's going to happen. But yeah, it's nice that Leicester City football is finally back.
For sure. Jason, any final words, my friend?
Yeah, I could say even though today didn't work out the way, I think any of us wanted, damn, it was just so much nicer to watch the football again and to stop reading Twitter and kind of, all the transfer windows and all the journalists trying to sell every single one of our players. It was just good to have the football back. It was good to get together with people again. I don't know about you guys, but I woke up well before my alarm this morning. I was just ready to go. And yeah, so just looking forward to more and more weekends with everyone watching the games.
Makes the work week go quicker too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that this week we're not going to have any of these damn Thursdays or Tuesdays, it's going to be a little bit easier to plan out your life. And guys, another thing that didn't happen today, nobody got injured. So we got to say that's a positive as well. Let's keep that trend going and let's stay healthy. But guys, with that, I think we've taken up enough of everyone's Sunday talking about the match. Go ahead and shoot your comments on Twitter. We'll respond to you guys this week. Like we said, wherever you are on Saturday, we've got a 7 a.m. kickoff against Arsenal. So that's going to be 10 o'clock for you boys in New York. Jason, your normal place, right, at Legends?
That's right. We'll be down at the Football Factory downstairs at Legends on 33rd Street. Just look for the Empire State Building and you'll be right there.
Is there an Arsenal contingent there, or do they got another bar?
Arsenal, they have a few bars, but there were always a decent number of Arsenal fans. And one of our good friends, Bobby A, Robbie Avery, Bobby Florals, whatever you want, Bobby Double A. He's an Arsenal fan, but he's got a soft spot for Leicester. He's always there watching the games with us. He was there again today, giving us a little love. So this one against Arsenal kind of means a little bit more. We have some good friends that are Arsenal fans that watch down there. Placide are going to give you a shout out too, but we're coming for you. We want all 3 points.
Let's go. All right, guys. With that note, for Jim, for Chris, for Jason, for myself, thank you so much for joining us this week on the US Foxes podcast. Once again, be a friend, tell a friend, grab a friend, bring them to the bar, buy their beers, explain the game to them. Let's grow the fan base here in the States and get more Foxes out there. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week on the US Foxes podcast. Later.